Well, when I was a baby, I remembered the Sanskrit language intuitively when I was born, and it was just how I thought. And I thought everybody was able to think in Sanskrit and speak Sanskrit. I had this total love and passion for Lord Krishna. I had this feeling like he was always with me, and I was completely in love with him. And I guess I was just born like that and thought everybody was. And then when I would sleep at night, I would see different light beings or masters standing around my bed, usually up to about 12. Well, it was Babaji and Christ and Mother Mary and Yogananda and Shirdi Sai Baba. And those are a few of the 12. And the way that I recognized that they were masters is because they all had the same eyes. And they had the oneness in their eyes. It was like the same being, but in all these different bodies. And yet their eyes showed me that they were connected to everything and to everyone. And so I'd say to them, who are you and what is this? And they'd say, we are your family. And what you're seeing in us is the oneness, the unity with all life. We've realized oneness with all life, and the same thing is going to happen with you. You're going to experience this too. And I just said, that's a beautiful thing. I was born into a Jewish and a Christian family, Catholic. My family was Jewish. My mother converted to Catholicism when I was 3. So I had no context to be in love with Lord Krishna with. It was just a spontaneous love from my heart. I was just completely in love with him as a divine being, as an avatar. He was God to me. And nobody around me understood. I couldn't talk about it at all. And then all I remember is that every night when I was sleeping, just right when I would fall asleep at night, I would go up onto the rooftop in my astral form, and I had this launching pad from my roof, and I would go and I would fly to different planets and different worlds and different galaxies, and I knew exactly how to get there and how to get back, and used to travel with different masters of light.
So it's what we would call out-of-body experiences?
That's right, but I thought it was normal. I mean, it was just a normal experience that happens when you go to sleep at night, is that during the day you don't fly, but at night, as soon as you go to sleep, you can fly, you can travel, you can go anywhere you want. And so that was what happened. And then going into different realms and dimensions, I received training from these different divine beings and masters, and they taught me how to travel between different realms and dimensions, and how to help souls that were stuck and that were suffering and that needed to be brought into the light and needed to be liberated or healed or helped. Well, I don't follow any one particular religion. I believe in the essence of all religions. I believe in the divine being, the divine self that is manifest in all forms, in all things. And so actually a little bit later on in my journey, when I was still really seeking God, I went through many different religions, and I met teachers from all different religions, and I was just as happy in a mosque as I was in a Jewish temple, as I was in a Catholic or a Christian church, as I was with Sufi mystics, as I was with Vedic saints, and I experienced it all as the same, that God was equally present in everything, and that I was interested in the essence. You know, religion is like the banana peel, and the banana is spirituality within that. And so I was looking for the unity within all traditions. I wasn't interested in the dogma or the form. Well, what happened was I shut down from 7 till about 17. For about 10 years I tried to be normal and not talk about my experiences and fit in and be like everybody else. And then what happened is that I ended up going to a temple and re-encountering Lord Krishna and starting to experience my longing for God return. And it got stronger and stronger, and the devotion became unbearable. And I started to enter into higher states of consciousness, where I'd move into these states that I called the agony and the ecstasy. And during these states, I would go into ecstatic states of union, where I describe them as bliss states, the most indescribable ecstasy that would come over me that is not from any human source. And then it would flip, and I would go into these experiences of agony, which was like the suffering. And I'd feel the suffering of all humanity, everybody's suffering all around through my body. And the suffering was so immense and the ecstasy is so immense that you feel like your body is going to explode into a million shards of particles. You feel like your body cannot stand the force or the current of the energy that comes through of the divine light. And I didn't know what any of this was. I was very, very young when it started. It probably started around somewhere between 17 and 21.
Now,
And
were you meditating in a meditative state?
No.
Or it just was sort of spontaneous?
no, this was all spontaneous. And what I understand now is that I attained samadhi in my previous lifetime to this one. And when I left the body in my last life, I was at a certain level in my state of samadhi. And once you reach a certain samadhi, that samadhi is located into the cells of your memory, what I call the cellular memory, the cellular membranes. And that got re-triggered in this lifetime. It just spontaneously awoke, and the memory of the samadhi just came back again. And so I had no idea what it was. And so what happened was, experiencing these states of agony and ecstasy, I said, well, how do I contain this amount of bliss? And what do you do when you feel the suffering of the whole world? And so I went to India. I set off to India at 21, gave up everything, and said, I have to find a guru. I have to find an enlightened master, because I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know if there's anybody else in the whole world who's ever experienced this. And if anyone ever has experienced this, somebody needs to tell me what it is. And so I went through Europe, and I went to see many, many different teachers, and most of the teachers said they'd never experienced anything like this, and they couldn't help me. And finally I got to India, and I went to go and stay with an avatar in an ashram in India for about 6 to 8 weeks. And during those 6 to 8 weeks, I was praying every day, please God, reveal yourself to me. Please God, reveal yourself to me. Please show me your face, show me your form, show me what is this that I'm experiencing. And nothing happened. And after about 6 to 8 weeks, I was guided by some friends to go to a place called Goa, which is a beach community in India. I went to the beach community in India, and at that point, the longing for God was so intense and unbearable that I climbed up on some rocks in front of the ocean. And I lay down on these rocks, fully prostrate. And I said, Lord, I want to see your face. I want to know your form. I want to experience you. There's nothing left for me here in this world except to experience you. There's nothing in this world that can bring me happiness. There's nothing here that can fill me. The only thing I want is to see you and to know you. And I said, until you reveal yourself to me, I'm going to lie down on this rock, and I'm never going to drink any more water. I'm never going to eat any more food. I'm not going to get up off this rock until you tell me to, until you show yourself to me, and this is it. And I just said, this is it, this is it, this is it. And I surrendered my life. And I lay down as if to die. And I lay there for a little bit, and then this voice came, and it said, get up and go back to your cabin. Just like a little small voice, get up and go back to your cabin. And I knew unmistakably that it was not my voice. And so I got up and I went back to my cabin. And when I went into my cabin, the only thing I can describe is that it was like I was hit by a bolt of light. And that bolt of light just knocked me over. And I went into, the only thing that I can describe, I'm still writing books about my experiences, but the only way I can describe it is, it was like I went into a state of union that lasted for about 8 weeks. And during that state, when I was entering into it, that state was not a bliss state. It was a state of pure knowledge. I came to later on experience bliss again. But this was devoid of any emotion. It had no feelings attached to it. It was just pure isness.